Welcome to HardinLife Live. We are the Hardins, and we are a group of counselors and coaches, and we love taking 10 minutes with you to hopefully give you some relevant tips to live your best life. And I'm especially excited this morning because I have Rachel Dunn here. And Rachel is not only a counselor in training, but she has written and personally gone through a life season of being a blended family. And we don't get enough of that, Rachel, at all. And y'all may realize this month we've been focusing on boundaries. And what I was looking really forward to Rachel bringing to us is how in the world do you set boundaries when you have a blended family and you basically have two households? Rachel, just sort of help us make sense.
Well, I think boundaries are something that we all hear about all the time. Everybody's talking about setting boundaries, but it's kind of like when it comes down to doing it, what does that mean? What does that look like in a blended family? And you don't get enough of it. I've gotten a lot of it. So I have pretty much figured out what those are. We're 8 years in to our blended family, and we have learned a lot of lessons, most of them the hard way.
Of course.
But, that's how it goes.
Exactly.
So, today I thought that I could share about house rules.
House rules. I like this. Where are we going to take us there?
House rules, which, realistically is something that probably every family should be implementing, but I think it's just so necessary in a blended family. It's kind of a non-negotiable, in my opinion, just from personal experience. So, house rules. Okay, so basically you're going to get your family together and you're going to come up with a set of house rules that your family will live by. And you want to do this together with all the children. Everybody needs to be present. Needs to be a group effort. And
I love that. I love the group effort.
It's not a list of don'ts. It's actually a list of do's. You don't want to have. It's not a negative, punishing thing. It's like hey, in this house, this is how we do things, and that's so important in a blended family because everybody is coming in with their own ways of doing things, and it's so disconnected, and we have to find a way to connect and just make us feel like a family and have our way of doing things. And it's just a way that really unifies your family and just gets you going, sets the tone in your house for, everybody being on the same page. And that may be hard for some people to understand how that could cause so many problems, but it can be a big deal. So
that makes so much sense to me. And I love the way you're pointing out that everyone's coming from different, persuasions.
Yeah.
Plus, the rules in one house could be totally different than the rules in another house. And I know you've told me before, you don't make a big deal about that. It's not like our house is right, that house is wrong.
No.
It's just in this house, we do that. And so it gives structure, is what I'm hearing you say, that it gives them a structure of how to be. Can you give us a couple examples? I love that you said no negatives. Give me a couple examples of some positive house rules that y'all have created and want to create for everyone.
Okay, so an example would be when it comes to how we treat each other. In this house, when we walk in the door, we make eye contact and say hello.
I like that.
In this house, when we get done with dinner, we clear our plate, or we say thank you, we take our dishes to the sink, and we push our chair, or whatever it might be. Or in this house, when someone asks us something, we look at them and answer them, quick, or whatever. It's little things that you just, whatever is important to your family. But what you're doing is you're teaching your children how to treat each other, and you're teaching each other, reminding each other of how to treat each other. And it's like, what does it look like for your family to have respect and kindness? And how can you make that into little rules that, you're teaching your kids lessons that they'll use the rest of their life. So I think that one is just so important. Like, it's just been a game changer for us.
That makes so much sense to me. And I think also, when I think of a blended family, you've got one parent now, step parent in that situation. it's a way of actually allowing them to be treated with respect without saying, you need to respect your stepfather.
Exactly.
It's like, instead of like, doing
You
this,
don't have to be the bad guy. The
no.
rules are there. This is how we treat people. I'm just going back to the rules.
Yeah.
We treat each other with respect, and it's not a personal attack. It's just, this is the way we do things, so that's how we're going to do it. And that's what we expect. And that's...
Well, I love the emphasis on not only are you teaching respect and value of each person by the fact they're all in there creating the rules, but you're also leveling the playing field of everybody becomes an important part of this team.
That's so important in a blended family because there's always an like everybody has, except the biological parent, the step parents and the kid have the outsider complex,
Wow.
So because the child doesn't live there, the step kids don't live there all the time. So when they come back, everybody, the two parents have been living there. They come in, they've been living in another house with another way of doing things. They come in, they feel like the outsider. Then the step parent obviously feels like the outsider because this is their child. I'm not the biological parent. There's no biological tie. And everybody's just battling this outsider thing.
Wow.
So, and they don't talk about it. And they may not even really know that they're feeling it. They don't know how to put it to words, but it's just so important to establish belonging in a blended family. Like, we have to know that we belong in a blended family. And when you sit down with each other and you come up with this is how we do things. Like, not you, not me. They get to give input, you give input. You're important. How you feel is important. What, all this.
So everybody's part of the we.
Exactly.
Oh,
and we want it to be a we
valuable
atmosphere. We don't want them, us, because that's how it feels when you first start blending a family. And it can take, realistically, it took us about, I'm going to have to say 5 years before we really felt like, wow, this is like, we feel like a real family. Like, and I don't want to say real family, but we feel, because we are all real families, but we feel like a cohesive unit. Like, it feels cohesive.
Cohesive, I think, is a realistic goal.
Yeah.
And even in the traditional family, it's interesting. We all change. Everyone's always changing in life situations, ages, needs, development. So technically, there is nothing that ever is stationary.
Yeah.
But we had that idealized in a traditional family.
That movie.
Yeah.
That Hallmark movie thing we all have in our heads since childhood, where this is what it's supposed to look like.
But really, a blended family could actually give you the edge to learning to adjust and respect with the different seasons, stations, needs of everybody. And I really hear the respect is that glue. Belongingness is that glue. Mm-hmm. And what I really think about that is even when God looked upon us in Psalm 139, he said, before you were born, I saw you. And, as counselors, one of the most important developmental stages for a baby is to be seen and wanted. And when you've got all the different moving parts of family members, what I'm hearing you say is house rules are establishing you're welcome, you're wanted, you're a part of us. Well, Rachel, we're only going to have a minute, but I want to say, now, I'm aware that you and Seth are leading a blended family workshop. And can I announce that to say that once we get that on the calendar, they can go to our website?
Yes, and we will talk a lot more about house rules and a lot of other things that will just get you on the right track with your blended family. Whether you've already been in it for a few years and you just need a boost, or if you're just starting out, I think we're going to have a lot together. We'll have a lot to offer.
Well, because how to resolve conflict. What if you got a crazy missing part running around out there? How to deal with turmoil. Yeah. How to create intimacy between the couple. There's so much. And let me tell you, Seth couldn't be here today, but together they are a pretty dynamic couple. So go to our website. Remember, HardinLife.com, and Rachel's written an amazing blog. Read that up, share it with friends, and then check